of the knee joint. He also had some clicking in the knee joint, and on examination, he had full range of knee movement. His knee was lax. Lachman test was positive. Positive means there was 3+ degree laxicity and there was a soft endpoint. If you look clearly, you won't be able to see ACL. So where my pen is pointing, there's signal change. And if you look at it, this is PCL. PCL, you can see there's a nice black cord-like structure, intact PCL. And this is where I am pointing on the posterior horn of meniscus, triangular dark structure. And this is some effusion. This whitish direction is basically effusion. So this MRI was done after a month after his injury. So basically 5 months old MRI, so there was still some effusion present. So this is the OT setup. Dr. Rajiv Dugar is with me. And my OT staff, Murari, Manish. So this is a pivot shift. You can see, not very clear, but so right knee joint. So I am trying to palpate medial joint line. So normally I take 3-finger breath down the medial joint line, okay, and then make a slightly oblique cut. So what I am doing is I am harvesting hamstring tendons. So hamstring tendons I am going to harvest gracilis tendon and semitendinosus tendon. Small oblique cut on the medial aspect of the knee joint. So subcutaneous dissection, then I will make a small incision in the fascia. You all can come forward if you have any questions, then we can discuss. If you want to, you can come forward. And any questions, or then you can directly discuss it with me. Okay? So it should be an interactive session, not just a video demonstration. Yes? So I am trying to palpate the tendon, okay, with my forceps. Then I have just done a small cut in the fascia. If you don't want to come, then I will come. You may be better. So this is basically tendon, you know, hamstring tendon, one of the hamstring tendons is gracilis muscle. Gracilis tendon, yes. So I'm pulling it through the thigh, you can see that two cords. So one is adhesion, this is. So cut this small adhesion. You all are seeing it for the first time? Yes. Okay. Very interesting. One of my favorite surgeries. So this surgery was done only a few days ago. So I was trying to release the adhesions, putting my finger deep inside the medial side of the thigh.
So how far should we go up the tendon and release the adhesions? How far we are supposed to find these adhesions?
You can, you know, it varies. It's very different in patient to patient. So gracilis mostly you won't find many adhesions, but in semitendinosus you can find it very deep inside. So normally I take this right angle artery and then.
Sir, how
Yeah.
can we know that it is that tendon only which we want?
You know, it's a bit clear. you can easily find these two tendons very clear. There are small pod-like structures. So there are three gracilis semitendinosus. And what is the third one? You have to tell me. Okay, so third one is basically fan shape. Yes. So these two are more like pod-like. So it's basically with experience and you can find. When I started, for me it was difficult, but gradually once you get experience, then you can find. So thinner tendon is gracilis and thicker tendon is semitendinosus. So in Indian patient, these tendons are normally thinner as compared to European or American patients. So semitendinosus is little bit difficult to, little bit more difficult to harness as compared to gracilis. And it has more adhesions.
Sir, in your practice, do you try to sometimes preserve the ACL insertions or you generally snap it and then go ahead?
I used to initially.
Okay.
You mean these tendons insertion, yes?
Yeah, insertion preservation.
Initially, there is some surgeons think that if you preserve the insertion, then it can enhance the blood supply and faster healing.
Okay.
But evidence, there is no such evidence. So initially when I started, I used to preserve, but gradually, because then if you leave those insertions there, then you have to do all the preparation at the site by yourself. So sometimes it can make your surgery longer by about 15-20 minutes. That's the only reason. So then you can cut and give it to your assistant surgeon to prepare the graft. So in this guy, there were lots of additions. Very difficult.
You always take out both the tendons together or you first take out CVT, measure it, and then if required you go for the gracilis?
No, I normally. This is my practice. Graduation. But again, this is something that I was taught by my teachers. If you work with 10 different surgeons, you will see 10 different styles. Once you are comfortable, then you always try to follow those things.
The use of tendon strippers, do you prefer open or closed ones?
Open safer, and because this is my own set, so it's basically cheaper also to buy it. Because closed tendon strippers are very, very costly. Yes? Can you all see these two tendons? Very nicely looking tendons. The thinner one is gracilis and the other one is semitendinosus. And yes, what is the third one?
So your other preferred graft choices other than hamstrings?
Recent evidence against the bone cutlet and bone graft is somewhat stronger than this thing. But again, donor side morbidity is slightly difficult to harvest. So my first choice will be ipsilateral hamstring. Second choice will be again hamstring from contralateral. So we are cleaning the muscular part from the tendinous part. Yes. So some surgeons would do arthroscopy first, like looking inside the knee with the camera. If there is any doubt about this ACL injury, then sometimes we do arthroscopy first. But if we are sure about that the ACL is completely torn, then you can prepare the graft first. Okay. So this is some remains of the adhesions. So basically you try to that as smooth tendons as possible. And again, graft preparation technique is different for different surgeons, but whatever with time you develop your own techniques, and if you see those results, you are getting good results, then you continue those. So this is Ethibond suture, number 5.
So 5 is stronger than 2.
What suture do you use?
Number 2.
Number 2. The needle is little bit smaller.
No, I'll start using number 5 now. I was not initially number 2.
Huh? So normally the graft size is easily up to 24-25 centimeter. Okay. So this is, normally I don't measure the tunnels and mark it. So I will keep my graft a little bit longer, 2-3 centimeters. As a physiotherapy, it's always good for you to go to some surgeon's theatre. It's very interesting to see how surgery goes, and then it will make your anatomy more clear. And then it will help you in making your post-operative protocols and your rehab protocols and other things. So this is my sincere advice to you, that being a physiotherapist, you should see the surgeries. So this is the other end. So you need two assistants to keep that stretched while you are stitching. So basically, this is graft preparation. Yes. So we have doubled the graft. I mean, there are 2 tendons, and this is something called as endo button. Okay. This is a loop, nylon loop, with a small titanium button at the end. So you will put it over the graft, yes, and then I have doubled that bundle. So now there are 4 tendons. This is quadrupled graft. Okay, so very strong structure. So you can see that yellowish titanium thing over there, and there are 2 different colored fiber wires at this end, at the right side. So this end will go into the femur, that our titanium side, and this end, that suture end, will stay in the tibial side. And then again I will tie this. This is basically done with number 20 Viking. The absorbable suture, just to make sure that my graft won't slip while I am putting it later on. it would give me a firm grip while I'm putting the screw in the tibia. I will show it to you later on. So now the graft is prepared. Okay, I will cut this vital suture and we will make a small loop knot at the end of the suture. This will make our pulling easy later on. Just a small knot there. And now we will measure the size, I mean thickness of the total this water pulled graft. So this starts from 6 mm, 6.5, 7, 7.5 up to 12. But in Indian scenario, it will start from 6.5 up to say 8.5. This is tight over there. This is again tight, and this is okay. So this is 7.5. Still a little bit tight over 7.5, but I would prefer 7.5 to make a snug fit entry. Right? So 7.5. Some studies in Europe and US that say the minimal thickness should be 8, but it's different in Indian patients. Up to 7.5, even 7 mm graft is strong enough. Yes. So we'll keep it safe, right, in a sterile gauze. It's always better to keep it safe because sometimes, by mistake your office staff can throw this thing in the dustbin. So keep it safe somewhere. Okay.
So do you use any kind of antibiotic solution also on this soaked
No.
gauze piece? Some surgeons prefer vancomycin solution.
No, I inject it later on.
Okay.
I inject. So we are starting arthroscopy now. So this is my trocar and cannula. Okay. So this is a sleeve. And so main surgery will be done through keyhole. That's arthroscopy. So this is grayish cord. I think this is our light cable. Okay. And that steel long tube is arthroscope. And then there is camera. This in my hand. Camera. That's camera. That's scope. That's gray thing is light source. And we use normal saline to distend the joint. So general surgeons they use carbon dioxide to distend the abdomen, but for joints we use normal saline.
Water itself acts as a lens.
Yes.
Okay. Water itself acts as a lens, so it adds to your further vision.
portal that I am making. I put the needle first, look at in the camera. This is just something that you routinely practice to avoid cutting meniscus, medial meniscus while you are. And this is shaver system. So basically it will cut the scar tissue, fatty tissue, and at the same time it will suck those out. So there is a tube, transparent tube, is connected to a suction device. So on my left hand is camera system, and on my right hand is the shaver suction system. So you look inside the joint, clean the joint a little bit, identify the damage, what is the exact damage. So we know that there is a complete ACL tear, but we don't know how much the meniscus is injured or if there is any other cartilage injury. Normally with ACL injuries, you will find associated meniscal injuries and osteochondral and cartilage injuries. And sometimes other collateral ligaments can be damaged. So initially you examine, you look inside the whole joint. So normally I'll look at the patellofemoral joint first. So we point towards the screen monitor. This is my probe. Probe is a long hook-like structure. It's also called as surgeon's extended finger. Putting probe and I'm going to identify. So this is the medial meniscus, yes. So probe, you can see that hook, this thing. I'm putting it under the meniscus and over the meniscus and try to pull it out. So there you will find a small tears sometimes, but if those tears are stable, you don't always need to. So this is lateral meniscus, small scratch like tear out. But that was a stable tear and it was partial tear, superficial tear. You don't need repair and don't need trimming of the meniscus. Because initially when I started, I used to trim all the tears, but now I am not so aggressive, and I have seen that they heal very well. Good morning, Dr. Roila. So torn ACL, you can see shredded ACL fibers.
So most of the people, they want to know after how much time of the ACL tear we can go for surgery. So what do you recommend?
Yes, that's a very good question. Good morning, Dr. Srivastava. So basically, either you do it immediately within say 10 12 hours, that's very rare scenario, or at least 7 days. But recent recommendation is it will be better if you do it 3 weeks after injury. Right? So 3 weeks up to 1 year. So if you do it 3 weeks, if you do it before 3 weeks of injury, there are more chances of stiffness of the joint, that's arthrofibrosis of the joint. Yes. And if you do it say after 1 year of injury, then there are more chances of developing osteochondral injuries and other meniscal tears. So in Indian scenario, patient usually come to you after say 2, 3, 4 weeks. They won't, so they will see 10, 12 doctors, surgeons before they get ready for surgery. So if you try to do it very early, then you will cause stiffness of joint. And between 1 to 3 weeks, it's okay, but then again aggressive physiotherapy is needed, so aggressive rehab. So just cleaning and trying to prepare the knots and other thing. Sometimes you can leave few fibers attached, ACL fibers, and that's it, said to improve the proprioception later on. But then again, it can make your surgery a little bit difficult. So sometimes you can do it or so we have just examined the medial side. We have done the lateral side. We have already done patellofemoral, so medial lateral cutter. So basically, you do it clockwise, right? Starting from patellofemoral joint. See if there are no loose bodies and associated osteochondral injuries, meniscal. So Dr. Srivastava was just telling that I try to leave those stable small superficial tears. Previously when I started, I was very aggressive trying to trim it, more like cosmetic thing. But then again I realized that if you leave those, and they heal very nicely without doing any stitches or anything.
So the tear in the white zone is not likely to heal. So isn't it safe to divide them?
White zone is different. You know, this white zone, it again depends. If it is white zone, you can trim it. But then red, white, and red, you either repair it, or if it is repairable, you will repair it. And if it is unstable, sort of deep tears, large tears, then you have to trim it if those are irreparable.
And if there is a concomitant meniscus tear and you want to repair it, you do it before the ACL surgery or you do it after?
Before.
Before.
A little bit easier also.
First meniscus, then ACL.
It's a stable meniscus tear if the length of the tear is less than 1 centimeter, and if we pull it, the excursion is say 1 to 2 millimeter, and it's also associated with ACL tear. Then once you stabilize the knee, usually these tears they heal.
Yeah, that's very good. So we are putting in the femoral guide. So students, what we are trying to do is basically we have taken the graph, prepared the graph, okay, and as you know that this ACL is inserted between femur and tibia, okay. So we are trying to make 2 tunnels, one in femur and another one in tibia, and then we'll put our graft through these 2 tunnels. And after putting the graft, that will need some sort of stabilization, otherwise it will come out. So in the femur, we are making a tunnel, we will put graft in, and I showed you that endo button initially. So it will be fixed in the femur through that button. And on the tibial side, in the end, we will use screw. So this is what we are doing, okay? So we are preparing the femoral tunnel now. So this video was recorded a few days ago only. So unfortunately, because today, because of technical reasons, we are not doing live surgery.
So you prefer using a fixed loop or a continuous loop endo button?
Sorry?
You prefer using a fixed loop endo button or a continuous loop endo button?
No fixed loop. So normally the tunnel size in the femur side is around 40 normally. femur side, yes. We are trying to go as far posterior. So if your technique is little bit different, then let us know, because this is my technique.
So it's measuring the depth of the tunnel, the depth gauge.
Dr. Rohila, you are doing ACLs, yes?
Yes, yes. But I is ready to put the footprint.
Sorry?
The footprint on the device.
Footprint will see. Increment. So suppose that femoral tunnel that we have measured is 40 or 45, yes, 45. Yeah. Then we will ream it. So what we did that we put a guide wire initially, okay, so that femoral guide. We made a smaller tunnel over it and then measured that tunnel. That smaller tunnel was 45. Then over that tunnel we over drilled that, and that tunnel was done up to 40 mm. Right? So we are having a 5 mm of cortex intact over there. For physiotherapy students, it may be a little bit difficult to understand initially. But basic idea is to make a tunnel in the femur so that we can insert our graft there. And then there are two tunnels, one is smaller, thinner, and another thicker. Just to make sure that our endo button, that fixation device, flip over the cortex, femoral cortex. And this is again a tibial, this is that ACL footprint, Dr. Royla, I think you were talking something. So there are two types of tibial guides, tip and elbow. I normally prefer elbow aiming tibial guide. Maybe little bit easier.
Can you explain this, the site of guide where they come in?
Sorry, guide wire
Where the guide wire is coming, you can describe.
Yeah, basically normally the tibial insertion of tibial attachment of ACL is quite broad. And as there are two bundles, so normally what I do that it's basically more like eyeballing rather than exact measurement.
Yes.
But normally it is said that you can take it 7 mm entry into the PCL insertion.
Yes.
But I usually don't follow that. Basically, I do eyeballing. I see that it comes, that my guide wire comes somewhere near center of the tibial attachment.
It can be near about 7 millimeters from
Yeah, that's theoretical,
PCL,
but practically,
and posterior as of later discussed.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Between the two tibial spine.
But once you start doing it regularly,
This is just more of eyeball.
yeah.
Yes.
And because there are two, either you do transtibial or you do transportal. So in transportal you have some, some flexibility.
Yes.
It's very difficult to measure inside 7 millimeter from the PCL.
But
No, it is more of eyeball.
what I do normally, when I have a, Dr. Ayla, I have a curate.
Yes.
So after putting guide wire, I put that curate between my guide wire and PCL to see whether it's going to impinge or not.
Yes. Yes.
So that's very easier for me. And initially I used to put markings on my graph, measure the tunnels, tibial tunnels, how exactly it is. But now I don't normally do that. So I know
Now we are pulling this loop.
so this is the tibial tunnel entrance that we are seeing. I'm just clearing it out of some tissues so that I can insert my graft easily. And you can see this fiber wire, this wire. So it is
Yes.
coming out from femur tunnel from inside the joint and coming out through the tibial tunnel. So we have completed the femur tunnel. Now we are just about to finish our tibial tunnel. Then we have inserted the fiber wire this thick, this is a very strong suture fiber wire. So you can see a loop there. Yes. So we will hook our ligament prepared tendon over this loop and pull it out through that femur. I have a very strong assistant, Dr. Rajesh, who normally pulls it out very easily and very quickly. Yes, now you can see that. Hello. Hello. We are ready to pull that ligament. So we will pull one cord at a time. So our endo button will stay in length alignment rather than go inside in breadth alignment, in width alignment. Yes, looks good. So this cycling I am doing, trying to flip that endo button over the femoral cortex. Sometimes you find it difficult to flip. It's a good thing that you pull it from that side and at the same time you do cycling.
So do you also practice pre-tensioning of the graft or just cycling does the job?
Not
Cycling does the job. Cycling is basically just to remove the slackness from the graft so that it's taut and nice band and straight.
once that endo button is flipped over the cortex, you get a very good feeling of toggling of this endo button towards the cortex. And once your graft is fixed in that endo button is fixed over the cortex, then you will pull it
try to pull it out from the tibial side and simultaneously do cycling. So it will take the creep out of this tendon a little bit. Some surgeons will do that tensing of the graft over a board before putting it inside. But there is no evidence as such that it helps. So full flexion, full extension, 10 to 15 times, or until you exhaust. It's like doing CPR. And again, there are some controversy how to fix tibial side. Whether you use metal screws, PEEK screw, bioremovable, HA coated, or single point fixation, double point fixation, lots of, but there is no evidence that one is superior over the other. So it's again choice of surgeon.
What is your preference for the tibial side fixation?
Sorry?
What is your preference for the tibial side fixation? Screw.
So yes, interference is required.
Interference.
And again, I give choice to patient whether to fix it with metal screw or biodegradable. I say that there is only one advantage that metal screw that biodegradable won't screw with MRI images later on if in case you need it. And another thing is that theoretically you may have to remove it sometime titanium, but I have never done that. But that's what I tell patient. Because result-wise there is no difference with any type of.
So some surgeons in Japan itself are using double fixation here, also using a cortical button. So does that actually strengthen your construct system, or it's just an additional expense which is added to the patient?
Cortical button.
Yes, sir. After the screw, then they use another cortical fixation. After the screw, the rest of the remnant they fix with another cortical fixation at
Give
TPF.
satisfaction to surgeon, otherwise evidence-wise there is no such evidence that states.
Okay.
So if your single fixation is strong enough, but in elite athlete you may use two fixation. While we are fixing, we are doing reverse segment test, pushing the tibia backwards and pushing the femur anteriorly at 30 to 40 degrees of flexion on the knee. So I am using this biodegradable. How many of us are using 2-point fixation in the tibial side? We all are.
Anyone is using 2-point fixation on the tibial side? Medium cases.
Typically, once the fixation is done, then we will check the range of movement and stability, and we'll put the scope inside and we will check the impingement, whether your ACL graft is impinging on PCL or pushing and entering over the cochlear lobe. And then we'll watch out.
joint out. You can see there's reconstructed ACL there.
The white shiny fibers.
This is the
Obliquely going there.
okay. This one is the ACL, and then behind that is PCL. So we'll check impingement in full flexion and impingement in full extension, and wash the joint out. And normally I inject vancomycin intraarticularly and in the wound.
They move these at the site of the healthy harvest.
Yes. So stability wise, the gold standard is bone patellar tendon bone graft. Yes. But most commonly, most of the surgeons are using hamstring tendon graft, because bone patellar tendon bone graft is associated with donor side morbidity. Yes. And post-operative anterior knee pain, and it's also difficult to harvest. Hybrid means artificial uses, it's very costly, and it's still in trial phase. And mostly it is useful in multi-ligamental injury. So autografts are best. And hamstring grafts have some tendency for posterior laxity later on, say after a year or so. But functional wise, the functional results are same for both. And again, there is controversy regarding choice of fixation at femur side and tibial side. But most common construct is this loop type fixation on the femur side and interference screw on the tibial side. And the surgery that we have just seen is a single bundle ACL graft reconstruction. So normally ACL has two bundles, anteromedial and posterolateral. Yes. So ideally, theoretically, you should reconstruct both the bundles. But again, there is no evidence that reconstructing both the bundles gives you added advantage. Rather than it increases time of surgery, cost of surgery, and morbidity to the patient. And if you have to revise it later on, then it's very difficult to revise it. Okay. And moreover, there is no added advantage of doing double bundle over single bundle. So most of the surgeons are continuing doing single bundle reconstruction. So here we are only reconstructing anteromedial bundle. So this is what we have just seen. So ACL reconstruction, single bundle using hamstring tendon graft. Right. So question and answer. You can remove that photograph of mine, it doesn't look very good.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So as you said that the tendons of semitendinosus and brachialis are thinner in Indians. So are there any reason for that?
Ethnic difference.
Okay.
It's basically race, Asian race is normally the structure is little bit different from European and American. So it's okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
We are still the best. Indians are still the best. Okay.
request Dr. Shekhar Srivastava to please come forward on stage and felicitate Dr. Ashish Mittal. He is the director of the Royal Orthopedic Hospital and Sports Injury Center, moreover chairperson of ICSG in 2020. I request both of you to come forward on stage. Thank you, both of you. Now we'll be starting with the keynote session.